There's a lot of foods you can still find after Fallout's Great War, and I'm here to celebrate over 200-year-old preserved post-war goodness. I'm Mark from Digital Dissection. I make Fallout lore videos, and today I'll be your guide to Fallout 4's somehow still surviving food brands. While you consider the prospect of worldwide nuclear war, remember that your local super-duper mart still stocks your favorite brands. Whether it's starting your day with a delicious bowl of sugar bombs, or relaxing after work with a savory meal of Saddle Up Salisbury steak, come to Super Duper Mart for the foods that satisfy America's hunger, even in the midst of nationwide food riots. Donuts and coffee go hand in hand, but what if the two could literally be combined? Slocum's Joe is a pre-war donut company based in Malden, Massachusetts. Its reputation quickly became known for its overpriced coffee at $28 a cup, and donuts that far exceeded daily values for carbohydrates and fats. Slocum's Joe was dedicated to staying as far ahead of the competition as possible, and this led to the creation of Slocum's Buzz Bites, created to solve the age-old problem of keeping coffee hot and donuts fresh. The only problem, these chemically altered donuts had a 90% chance of burning those trying to eat them, and industry regulations kept them from widespread distribution. Even with this limitation, the prototype food can still be found and consumed, leading to a loss of 10 HP, as they legit hurt to eat, but provide a 25 boost to a player's maximum and current action points, as well as a 1-point boost to perception for 1 hour. You can find them in Slocum's Joe Corporate HQ, contained within a desk in its offices, as well as a recipe to create more in a nearby safe. If you're into chemical burns, that is. All it'll cost you is 1 coffee tin, 1 dirty water, 1 Mirelurk egg, 1 oil, and 3 razor grain at a cooking station to create more. Wear eye protection. You'll thank me later. A pre-war breakfast cereal with explosive great taste. The box contains little cereal shapes resembling stylized atomic bombs, coated in copious amounts of sugar. Some boxes claim to contain a prize inside. What better way to celebrate breakfast outside of donuts than with explosive great taste? Sugar bombs, of course, have been a large part of consumable items history in the franchise since Fallout 3. The mini nuke-shaped cereal is drenched in sugar, boasting 100% of the daily sugar value for one's diet in a single serving. True to its name, sugar bombs are a play on having little to no actual nutritional value, but its heavy sugar coating can still provide a negligible amount of HP. But it's worth noting that in New Vegas, they could temporarily boost action points. The chemical makeup of the cereal in Fallout 4's post-war led to it being used in high-end chems production, and use cases where it increased the effectiveness of explosives. Surprisingly, however, the cavity-creating cereal is a favorite amongst post-war survivors that can find it, and some boxes have even managed to stay free of radiation. Fallout Shelter Online would even introduce 5 more flavors of the cereal, expanding into chocolate, cinnamon, frosted, cherry, and honey versions. I just hope that the explosiveness of sugar bombs is reserved purely to its taste, and not what it does to your insides. But believe it or not, there are 2 versions of it to find in Fallout 4. One that was ever so kissed by the radiation of the bombs falling, providing 15 HP and 7 rads. But pre-war versions exist that offer twice the hit points at 30 HP and none of the damage to your body's integrity. Theoretically speaking, of course. If you're looking for the pre-war versions, you can turn in overdue books that can be exchanged for sugar bombs. But 6 boxes of them can be found in Vault 81 in its cafeteria and northeast bedroom, as well as Vault 114 in its kitchen. Crafting them will only set you back 2 corn, 1 plastic, and 1 razor grain. A tin of processed meat produced in vast quantities pre-war to address food shortages and serve as a meat ration for soldiers. The tin, with an easy open pull tab, helps keep the contents preserved for long periods, making Cram'd more useful for survivalists and those scavenging for food. Of the many ideas you might have for food that would survive the end of the world, Cram'd is probably what you envision when raiding a post-apocalyptic food shelf. Before the old world ended, TVs were graced with pervasive promotional campaigns for Cram'd, a highly preserved meat comprised of salts, pork byproducts, and heavy water. Whatever that might mean. The product was produced in large quantities as a necessity for food shortages that struck the United States in waves as the resource wars waged on, leading up to the 2070s. The canned meat, of course, is directly influenced by spam of our world, and in the realm of Fallout, it would have substituted meals, appearing on dinner tables, school lunchboxes, and a go-to ration for soldiers. Across Fallout's wasteland, however, Cram'd still remains popular, even though its taste leaves a lot to be desired. But its protein value makes it a prize to those searching for it, even if consuming too much of it can cause severe constipation. Cram'd is a widely available consumable in the Boston Commonwealth, similar to its availability in the Capital Wasteland, as it appears in Diamond City, The Institute, Vault 111, Sanctuary Hills, and is obtainable through various vendors and crafting, which if you decide to make it yourself will only set you back 1 Blam'd meat, 1 dog meat, 1 radstag meat, and 1 steel. Doesn't that just sound delicious? Cram'd will grant 25 HP and cause 5 rads, so just be careful you space out the amount you choose to consume. While radiation poisoning sucks, you can't exactly craft a new colon either. Nothing says dinner like Blam'd mac and cheese. Bring the family together for a dish everyone will enjoy. Not only do kids love Blam'd, but it's also America's favorite mac and cheese dish. Foods you can pour out of a package may seem somewhat unsettling, but it didn't stop Fallout's past and future from enjoying Blam'd mac and cheese. The prepackaged and highly processed food first appeared in the Capital Wasteland, but under a slightly different green box, featuring its trademark easy pull pouring spout to dispense it. The classic macaroni and cheese dish sees a different blue box by Fallout 4, featuring a lit bomb sitting in a bowl of the featured food. Similar to others on this list, it does manage to come in 2 post-war versions. A regular box that provides 20 HP and 6 rads, but also a preserved pre-war version providing 40 HP with no radiation effects. Its portability wasn't just a value add during its time before Fallout's bombs fell, as it still is a mainstay among survivors, particularly the Brotherhood of Steel that widely collects the product and gives them to its frontline troops as a form of MRE, or a meal ready to eat. For those that want to find them, pre-war versions are in Vault 81 and the Cabot House, but crafting them will only set you back 1 carrot, 1 plastic, 1 purified water, and 1 razor grain. We're assuming and hoping the plastic is for the packaging. A ready-to-eat meal of ground beef mixed with breadcrumbs, onion, and egg, served with gravy. The meal is pre-packaged, preserved, and sealed for freshness, and requires only heat to be made properly edible again. Of course, almost every food we've discussed features some resilience in Fallout's world, but Salisbury steak might be in a category of its own. While the product initially came in a small red box in Fallout 3, by Fallout 4 the consumable item was given a far more definitive name, being produced by the Saddle Up Company. The Saddle Up Salisbury steak consumable features the familiar profile of a TV-style dinner, showing a hamburger-like patty and signature brown gravy. But the Saddle Up dinner also appears to include corn on the cob as well as green peas. Similar to sugar bombs, Salisbury steak also manages to come in 2 different versions, where the regular version exposed to radiation grants 30 hit points and 9 rads, but the preserved version will net you 60 hit points. Once again, we can only imagine what it takes for these foods to stay edible for so long. While also possible to be purchased from vendors, fixed locations for the steaks appear in the root cellar within Sanctuary Hills, as well as the previously mentioned Vault 81 cafeteria, the Cabot House, and Vault 114. I imagine it has to taste significantly better than Cram'd, and at least there was an attempt to include veggies in this one. A packet of freeze-dried powdered mashed potatoes still sealed inside its cardboard box. Just add water. With real dig-in flavor, enjoy Instamash today. Salisbury steaks usually aren't far from a familiar dinner table friend, and the mashed potato also made its way into post-war survival as a highly preserved food. Instamash, a freeze-dried powdered mashed potato, began appearing alongside so many others on this list starting in 2008. By the era of Fallout 4, the product is able to still be enjoyed by Wastelanders by just adding water to the contents of its package. The box it appears in now differs slightly from its introductory packaging, as it now sports an orange box with a large white logo, and what appears to be a blender on the back. Most Instamash discovered in the Commonwealth will gain its users 20 hit points and 7 rads, but preserved versions will do more than twice the health gain, bumping it up to 45 points when consumed. Similar to other foods on this list, you can find the far more desirable version within Vault 114's confines, as well as the previously mentioned Cabot House once again.
It can equally be manufactured by the food processor if the Vault-Tec Workshop add-on is activated. What's funny about Instamash in particular is that the Sole Survivor actually speaks to its resiliency, that it literally never expires.
A can containing a complete meal. Beans stewed in a tomato sauce with chunks of cured pork belly. The tin may be slightly rusted, and the label has partly fallen off due to age and water damage, but the contents are still as edible as ever, though more so if warmed up first.
Pork and beans are probably one of the least revolting ideas for something to be found still surviving 200 years after its creation. Even though many of the preserved foods we've discussed also live in our world, pork and beans was actually inspired by the Van de Kamp's product of the same name. This design in Fallout 3, however, was built under the name Greasy Prospector Pork and Beans, which by the time of Fallout 4 dropped the Greasy name entirely. The blue and red label it now adorns simply states, "Nothing more than pork and beans," which we suppose is more encouraging than others on this list, if ever only so slightly. The canned product will net you 20 hit points and 6 rads for consuming it, and fortunately can be found in many locations across the Boston Commonwealth. Some of these areas include the Super Duper Mart, Jamaica Plain, Water Street Apartments, Concord, and Sanctuary Hills. I just wouldn't want to be downwind of anyone who happened to have recently enjoyed them.
In search of a quick food on the go? Super Duper Mart has many of your favorite snack time treats that can keep your hunger at bay all day. Explore a selection of potato crisps, Dandy Boy apples, Fancy Lad snack cakes, and Yum Yum deviled eggs.
So not every surviving packaged food in Fallout necessarily has to be a meal, and such is the case for several potential foods that you can discover. Potato crisps are one of these items. A canned potato chips product that only restores 10 hit points at a cost of 7 rads to the player. Claiming to have unbeatable flavor, the chips don't really pose much of an advantage to those who eat them. But they can be encountered in lunch pails, and a few are on the floor of the building beneath the USS Constitution. Outside of being chips in a can, they're really just not worth it. But you can still craft them with the food processor in the Contraptions Workshop with 2 Tato, 1 aluminum, and 1 oil. Dandy Boy apples and Fancy Lad snack cakes always felt a bit more palatable to me when assessing post-war foods that happen to survive. Both are commonly found as junk food items in several games. But in the world of Fallout 4, they both replenish 10 HP at a cost of 3 rads for the apples and 4 rads for the snack cakes. Both are technically more like dessert items, and the Dandy apples are a play on candied apples, with Fancy cakes being a frosted cake loaded with sweeteners. Produced by the Dandy Boy Company and Fancy Lads Company respectively, both are so enriched with sugar that it's likely they'll never go bad. But their ability to be found is quite high across the entire Commonwealth. The snack cakes, however, can be crafted with plastic, purified water, razor grain, and tarberry. And their pre-war version also increases to 25 HP. If you head over to Nuka World, you'll also find several more dessert-style items that survive the bombs falling. This includes the bite-sized cotton candy and funnel cake once made by the amusement park. Similar to the above-mentioned apples and cakes, they offer the same effects, with 10 HP gained, as well as 3 rads for the candy and 4 rads for the cake. Each item is available from several vendors across the Nuka World DLC, and they're also fairly common as a loot item. There is one snack item that I'd rather not ever envision consuming though, and that would be the product of Yum Yum deviled eggs. The hard-boiled eggs stuffed with a spicy filling were supposedly preserved and sealed for freshness before the Great War, but there's something about sealed chicken eggs that the human body just puts up alarms about. Even though the consumable provides 15 HP while giving 5 rads, the images of gas station egg salad is just too hard to ignore. The Yum Yum brand figuring out a way to keep deviled eggs somehow non-perishable after 200 years is something I'd rather not get to know intimately. If you truly want to track them down though, you can find them in public occurrences, the Super Duper Mart, and the Federal Ration Stockpile. Alternatively, you can craft them with the food processor in the Contraptions Workshop with 1 Mirelurk egg, 1 oil, and 1 plastic. At this point though, you're better off eating any of the other items on this list. I just can't wrap my head around this one. So there you have it. There's many somehow preserved pre-packaged items in the Fallout 4 universe. Did I miss any of your favorites? Let me know in the comments. For more content just like this video, you'll find my Fallout Exploring the Wasteland playlist linked here, as well as another video from this series you might enjoy. As always, thank you for watching, and any engagement is greatly appreciated, as it helps to let me know you like the content that I'm making, as well as where I should go next. Until next time, Wastelanders, keep on dissecting. Thank you for joining me. This is Mark signing off.